I watched Nope at my local theater, and I've got some thoughts. With movies like this, I don't really like trying to claim if I think it's good or not, how good it is, how it holds up to the year's competition, etc. I think that internet culture for movies is very based around having an opinion rather than just talking about the movie, discussing it, talking about anything, just thoughts regarding it. If you decide what your opinion is before you've really let your thoughts settle and give it more time and even discussed it with other people, it muddies your entire perception, does nothing but cut the potential value that you could get from a film. So, let's talk about it. I feel a little let down by this movie. Now, I've never actually finished Get Out or Us. I've seen a lot of footage on TV, but I never sat start to finish. As such, I'm familiar with the public respect for Peele, but I'm not personally aware of his style in the same way that I would be for a Koreeda. I was honestly expecting a bit more density of content going into Nope. I'm not saying this is a criticism, like I said, per se. I just, from how I saw people talking about it, I really thought it would be like this super weird, esoteric, abstract piece, but it's really not, Full spoilers ahead, by the way, that's how we do things here. But this is honestly a pretty normal monster movie. It's weird to say, it's weird that I have to claim that in a spoiler section, that it's a monster movie, since it's not really a surprise in the film. Very early on in the film, it just becomes clear that this is a monster movie, and it just plays out like a monster movie. It doesn't come as a big twist or like a consistent mystery. It's a pretty straightforward monster movie. But for some reason, they didn't imply that in the trailer, so it is technically a spoiler to say that. Luckily, I'm pretty knowledgeable on monster movies. I studied monster fiction almost exclusively for like an entire year in university, and it's been a genre of interest to me since I first watched The Host from fucking 2006. Anyways, the point is, people talk about this movie online like it was all really, really symbolic and abstract. Oh, it's hard to understand. Oh, it doesn't hold your hand. Yeah, it's got some stuff, but like, just to get an idea of where I'm coming from, there are films where every goddamn on-screen second is oozing with abstract presentation, style, symbolic presence, and like confusing shit that you can't really take or understand at straight value. This is not really chock full to the gills like some other stuff is. I do not think this movie is hard to follow. I think anyone that struggled to follow it is a fucking toddler. It is not hard to follow literally or symbolically. It is a pretty like it's an obvious As for the stuff that might have some flexibility of interpretation, we've got a movie about spectacle, and I had heard this term floated around by a bunch of people before I went to see it. I thought this was going to be a vaguer concept, but no. They explicitly use the word spectacle like half a dozen times. The first opening thing is a quote that references the word spectacle like 3 fucking times. We've clearly got stuff about spectacle, seeking fame and fortune and validation, especially coming from a family in Hollywood whose great-great-great-grandfather never got the fame or recognition that he deserved relative to the other pioneers in his field, per se. So our protagonists are understandably a bit attached to not only their own home, their ranch and their trade, but also their pursuit of fame that they still obviously feel some slighted by. It also talks a lot about animals as props for film, and this is one aspect where I'm not sure what the exact takeaway, how literally I'm supposed to take it. Sure, these creatures that they're talking about in the film are dangerous, but like, okay, the horse gets startled in the first scene, but they can still tame and use horses to aid humans and be props for movies and other content. I'm not sure if the story is trying to discourage using these animals or anything they symbolically represent as like a natural danger of content creation that gets mistaken for something innocent and safe, or deluded into believing that it's humanoid. or if it's just saying to take better precautions and follow basic safety procedures for dealing with dangerous animals. I mean, this ending plays out like tons of other monster films. Tons of like Jaws, not like The Host, because The Host is different. They survive, they kill Jean Jacket, they save the day, and they get the shot. It felt very... That was the most bizarre feeling of the movie for me, is how the film seemed to end with them, winning? I thought the point was that it was stupid to take these insane fucking risks to get the perfect shot for fame and fortune, to capture spectacle. But our heroes keep taking the craziest risks imaginable for that exact purpose. And they get rewarded for it. It's not like an ending where it's like, maybe they got the shot, but at the cost of something more important, like in a lot of other monster films, fiction with social commentary, like The Host. In The Host, sure, they kill the monster, but it is a tragic ending. The monster killed Gangdu's father and daughter in the movie, and putting down the monster itself is, in and of itself, a sad reality, because the monster in that movie is sympathetic. It reflects Gangdu's childhood of being born into poverty with a neglective mother, struggling to find food to eat while being left alone all day. The monster did not ask to be born. It was born into unfortunate circumstances due to human neglect, and was just doing what it could to keep from starving. It killed people out of necessity, and it was suffering the entire time. And Gangdu understands this. When he kills the monster in the end of the movie, he understands the tragedy of it all. I feel like they could have pretty easily run with that in Nope, but it doesn't, I don't get the sense that that's the message at all. Like I said, the ending plays out like a blockbuster monster movie, right? None of the important characters that we care about die. Even the horse doesn't fucking die. And they succeed at killing this dangerous creature. They get the shot. They avenge their father, because this monster killed their father. It is, like, purely positive and triumphant in conclusion. So why did they get rewarded for doing this shit when everyone else didn't? Is the tragedy of the ending the fact that the monster died, like in The Host? It doesn't feel like it, because... 1. Our heroes did not need to kill the monster, nor is it portrayed as tragic that the monster dies. I mean, there's parallels between all the animals, like the horses, Gordy, and Jean Jacket. But the horses are all portrayed as pretty innocent and are just a danger when humans do not handle them with care and take the necessary precautions around them, like in the first scene of the movie. Gordy was the same. Gordy wasn't this, like, evil monster animal. Gordy, they just frightened him, and he attacked, and they killed it. They put him down because of it. I see that as sad for Gordy. The people fucking put him there on that stupid-ass sitcom. They weren't interacting with him safely, and they killed him when he freaked out after they mishandled him. I'm not even sure that I'm supposed to feel bad for Gordy. I think it's the people's fault, not Gordy's. So am I supposed to feel sympathy for Jean Jacket? There's other parallels, too. I mean, they both die from balloons. Gordy gets frightened by a balloon popping and startling him. Jean Jacket eats a balloon and explodes. There's clear parallels being drawn. So it seems like a link of victimhood in some way. It just doesn't seem like that's the angle, though. That's not the tone that the movie presents itself with. It just feels like it ends like a monster movie, where the good guys beat up the fucking monster, and it's not really deeper than that. I don't mean that, but, like... It doesn't feel tragic, is the point that I'm saying. I'm just flabbergasted the heroes are not punished for any of their decisions. The only difference between our heroes and the other idiots that all died making the same kinds of choices are that our heroes, I guess, feared the danger. Like that TMZ guy who crashes his bike, and then he's, like, begging to get filmed on the ground while he's, like, injured. He was so obsessed that he couldn't even register his own injuries as important, or the danger of the situation. For a while, our heroes respect Jean Jacket. They treat him like you're supposed to treat a dangerous animal. Don't look him in the eyes, set up all these systems, like they do it properly, the way it's supposed to be done. But then in the climax, they just say, fuck it, and then they just start aggravating Jean Jacket intentionally. Fight Jean Jacket head on, trick him into eating the balloon, fucking murder him. So I don't get the impression that the message of the movie is follow the proper safety procedures for dealing with dangerous creatures so that you don't antagonize them or whatever. I guess the main difference is just that they are, the siblings, they recognize the danger. Like, when they go back and they do stupid stuff, they aren't ignorant of the danger like everyone else in the movie that gets fucked over by their pursuit of spectacle seems to be, or at least uncaring of the danger. They are simply confident and conservative in following the steps, following the plan to pursue safety, you know. When they kill Jean Jacket, sure, they are still seeking the fame of the situation, seeking the media attention, the perfect shot, still engaging with the danger instead of, running the fuck away. But at least they're aware of the danger and taking action to avoid it by killing Jean Jacket. I don't know. I mean, I guess the movie, the message is nope. Like the movie title suggests, nope. The heroes win because, unlike everyone else in the movie, our protagonists are the only ones who know when to stop and say nope. They know what danger is. They know when it's a nope. Nope is mostly used in the movie to reflect when a character is getting the fuck out of something, disengaging or trying to avoid some danger, some perception of danger. But it's also a line on the sitcom on Gordy's birthday, on that episode. I forget exactly which character said it. I only saw the movie once. I haven't gone back to re-see it. But I think it was something about not being able to buy a decent birthday present. He's like, oh, you can't buy a fucking... You can launch a rocket, but you can't buy a birthday present? And the person said, nope. Very clearly in response. I would have to rewatch that scene and the rest of the movie to understand the symbolic purpose of using that word in that situation, but whatever. I can't help but see the chaining of symbols and ideas in this movie as a little messy? I mean, you've got Jean Jacket, it's an eye, it's a camera, it's media coverage. As an animal, some aspects of this make sense, right? It is territorial, aka people in Hollywood and the media industry are territorial over their control of the business, which is partly why it's difficult for our heroes to find success in that Hollywood industry. It causes wanton destruction, it consumes people's lives, animals' lives, and spits out money and property and blood, right? But it's not like the media... It's not like there is media that is currently covering or studying the family or their ranch. It's not like there are eyes on them. I find it a little weird that a symbol of media has taken refuge in a place that is very, very clearly bumfuck nowhere. Unless it's more so that not like a camera looking at stuff and filming stuff, but it's a camera in a representation of the media industry. And as such, the Jean Jacket, as a representation of the media industry, it's thriving while these people aren't. It is oppressing this family. I guess that makes more sense. The senior camera guy, I don't remember his name, they call to try to get the perfect shot. That old dude that talks about the purple people eater in that one scene, I don't know his name. On the phone, on one scene, he says that the dream that they are chasing, or that the sister is chasing, is a dream that he never wakes up from. It seems like he's implying that fame and fortune is not all it's cracked up to be for one reason or another, and that he, I guess, regrets his current state of being or something. Maybe he curses his own obsession with seeking this impossible shot. I'm not super sure what he means by this. I would have to go rewatch the movie. If this is a key part of the message, that would actually lend some credence to the ending. After all, even if they do get the shot and achieve fame and fortune and Oprah and everything else they talk about, maybe that is in fact the bad ending. Maybe it's a bad ending because they'll just end up like all of these other chuckle fucks, right? That old film guy who says that he lives the dream of success, it's a dream he can't wake up from. The Steven Yeun character, after they got a taste of that dream. Once again, I kind of doubt that because the tone of the ending is so triumphant. It's so cowboy-esque. It just feels like victory over the monster, victory over the media industry, oppression, and toxicity somehow. I don't know. I struggle to bridge that gap between Gordy and Jean Jacket. And any of the other animals, for that matter. I just find the comparison drawn between the animals weird. If Jean Jacket is supposed to be the media industry, or at least some aspect of the media or human attachment to consuming or creating media, Gordy is not a camera. Gordy is not the industry. Gordy's a cute little guy. You know, he's a little buddy. I like the Steven Yeun character. I like that he got such a bizarre takeaway from his experience with Gordy on the birthday episode. Sure, he just followed the proper precautions, even if he didn't realize it. He did not antagonize Gordy. He didn't make eye contact. He didn't run or make noise, etc., and so Gordy did not hurt him. But he internalized this as this idea that, like, he's special, that, like, these creatures respect him, and that they won't ever hurt him. As he expresses later, he literally says that with Jean Jacket. He's like, I think they respect me, it's fine, they like me. Although, in that case, it's a little bit weird because he knew that Gordy was an animal, but he thought that Jean Jacket was a ship that was piloted by intelligent aliens, right? He thought that they were intelligent. One thing I'm not confident in is the meaning of the shoe. There's the shoe imagery, the shoe standing perfectly upright by sheer chance, like this special miracle event, or like just some excuse for Steven Yeun to not have been looking Gordy directly in the eyes. What's up with the shoe, or the slipper, or whatever it is? I don't understand what that is representative of. Also, I feel like Jean Jacket's final form, his transformation in the ending, is meant to resemble something, but I am not sure what. It's very clothy, it's very flowy, it looks like this long white gown to me. It looks like Gardevoir, it looks like a Pokemon, but just like the white dress parts. Its eye, I think it's the eye, the green square that's made out of these like tattered cloth strips that flowers outwards over and over. I just feel like I'm supposed to know what it resembles, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. As for Jean Jacket itself, I haven't thought as much about what it's supposed to represent. Like, it's a one-eyed people eater. Now, in general, I'm assuming that the one-eye motif, like I said, is like the camera, right? It's capturing things on film, in which case Jean Jacket is the antagonistic representative of filming. And if it's a symbol for a camera, then a camera is the symbolic antagonist of the film, right? I mean, this makes it all the more important that I understand what its true form is meant to represent. Monster films are all about monsters representing something that generates fear and danger. I guess the danger is just the obsession with filming everything, perhaps seeking tragedy to film, seeking danger to film, filming what shouldn't be made into entertainment or news. There's also, of course, the meta angle, and I know I'm the guy who never shuts up the fuck up about meta, but it's just the facts, right? If you make something that has a commentary on media creation, media production, and the industry, it's automatically meta. That's just what it means. I'm sure that animals had to be trained in order to make this movie, right? And to a certain extent, Nope, as a horror film, is popular as a horror film because of the human desire to look at things they're not supposed to look at. I mean, that's the sickly appeal, right? I just don't see as much meta-awareness in this movie as I'm used to seeing from other media commentary pieces. The most meta moment, I think, is the very beginning, first shot of the film, where Gordy is walking around the set after everyone has fled or died / got knocked out or whatever, and at the very last moment, Gordy turns his head and looks straight directly into the camera, straight at us, the viewers who are watching him, who are watching this weird, mysterious, but violent scene unfold. It seems like something we're not supposed to be here, you know? And as Gordy's gaze points straight in our direction with his feeling of, like, tension and animosity, the shot abruptly cuts right there. It just cuts off. Of course, he was looking at the kid, as it's later shown, but still, the framing of the shot seems very intentional. We, the audience watching Nope, are part of the equation of this story. This story is about media engrossment and Hollywood and filmmaking. There's other moments where the editing of the movie does something similar off the top of my head memory, like when Stephen Yeun starts practicing the speech that he's going to give later on in the day, and the scene just abruptly cuts in a very weird way that is very noticeable, because it's not how movies are usually edited, right? He starts speaking, and it cuts him off straight mid-sentence. It's like we, the audience, were being cut off from seeing something that we are not supposed to be watching. This idea of not watching things, of looking at the audience, on some level, it feels a little like willful ignorance. Like how, rather than investigate their dad's mysterious death via the quarter that hit him in the eye, they just claim that it was, what did they say, like a prop plane or something fell out of the sky? That's the idea of, like, there's this idea of people being attracted to things they shouldn't be, attracted to danger, to tragedy, making light out of tragedy, entertainment out of the drama that comes from tragedy. Now, on this point, I have some confusion. To me, I think that there has to be a distinction between documentary and fiction. They're in Hollywood. Most of what you're seeing are fictional performances. Even Stephen Yeun's performance is an illusion, you know? He's there in person, obviously, but it's a carefully crafted facade meant to entertain. So the story isn't just talking about media coverage, like documenting things in real life. It's also about fiction. It's about performance, you know? Jordan Peele talked in interviews, I know, about how he wanted to make Nope because he wanted to make a movie with a grand spectacle of, like, the UFO story. I think that's what he talked about. So he's talking about making a fictional movie, not like seeking out spectacle in real life, like the movie is clearly criticizing, but he's like, oh, spectacle in fiction. Those are very different things, you know? There's an enormous difference between profiting off of a real-world tragedy and profiting off of a fictional story that has spectacle. Most movies, most fictional stories are written around tragedy, around despair and drama and such, and Nope is not different from that. It's appealing because it's about horror and death and tragedy and fucked up stuff, you know? If the movie is criticizing profiteering off of real-life tragedy, that makes sense to me. I think that makes sense to everyone, but it's also obviously talking about fictional media, too. You know, it is obviously, in this talk about spectacle, it is obviously also on some level talking about fictional movies, which makes me confused as to which messages it's trying to say should apply to both fiction and documentary, or one or the other. Do you see what I mean? It seems like some of the messages are almost hypocritical, since this movie, Nope, also feeds into the satisfaction that people get from watching tragedy. Eyes glued onto what they shouldn't be watching. Nasty, disgusting things, sensitive things, personal information. You know, it feels hypocritical to express revolt at the film industry and people, the rich and famous or poor and unknown, all trying to vie for a piece of the pie. It feels weird to, you know, engage with the film industry. I'm not saying it's necessarily hypocritical, it just feels a little weird, and like it's riding the line a little bit without the clarity to determine which side of the line it's riding. It makes me question what takeaways of the movie are really even supposed to be. I suppose on a very basic level, the movie is about a black family who are denied the ancestral fame that white people achieved for the same film, and Jordan Peele's work in the real life is providing a great opportunity for primarily black-led films to compete in the industry. So I suppose in a very oversimplified way, that is a core message. Like, it's not saying that lusting for the film industry is even necessarily bad. It's just saying that some people take it too far sometimes, or that maybe it's unbalanced, who gets credit and fame because of it. Even so, I don't really see how this film, in its creation, in its meta, is doing anything about the criticisms the film raises on fixation and filming and what you shouldn't be doing. I'm just saying, it doesn't seem to me like the message is that strong if it's really just as straightforward and simple as, well, this is fiction, so it's not making there's no problem. It's not making entertainment out of something real. At that point, the message of the movie would just be, don't exploit real-world tragedy. Make fictional stories instead if you want to appeal to people's fixation with spectacle and drama. That feels kind of limp to me, right? I just feel like don't exploit real-world tragedy is not a very nuanced message for a film that's trying to be subtle and nuanced with its theming. To me, that seems like a pretty fucking obvious cut-and-dried thing that it's fucked up to exploit real-life tragedy. I didn't need a fucking movie to have its message be, don't exploit real-life tragedy. No shit. I just think that there's gotta be something less obvious underneath this analysis of the symbols and these concepts, but I can't think of anything it could be condemning in exploitation of fictional tragedy and spectacle chasing that this movie is also not a direct culprit of. Like I said, the problem is I don't see the clear separation in the movie between fictional media and documentary media when there is a massive difference between the two. On the subject of meta, I've been aware of an interview I remember from a while back where Peele was saying that he started writing Nope around the 2020 time frame, where he was starting to worry about the future of cinema, since COVID, fucking those movie theaters really good. I know that Peele, by virtue of his work, just has to love cinema. He's an artist, right? So when we have a message that is very clearly critical of the pursuit of spectacle in some ways, on some level, it's not sure who, I'm not entirely certain exactly who it's criticizing of pursuing spectacle and rewarding for pursuing spectacle, but it is critical of crazed artists seeking the next biggest thing, critical of the industry as a whole. I just feel like I'm missing some important detail that makes the contrast make sense. Peele himself, like he said that he wanted to make a big spectacle, the bombastic American UFO story. I don't know if the criticisms levied in this story are also supposed to be self-digs, if they're self-criticisms, or if there's something fundamental at play that differentiates this, or if it's just a matter of balancing between two different things to find the right way of approaching the problem, or what. I'm missing the connecting tissue of these ideas. On having another day to think about it at work, since I couldn't finish my script on time once I got home last night, it strikes me how much of this movie is just about filmmaking. Honestly, it's all about home video, ingenuity, problem solving, trying to create a rig to position the cameras, trying to make the set, trying to film while working around these weird problems like Jean Jacket's EMP field that fucks up their equipment, and they have to work around. It has the vibes of old school filmmakers trying to use engineering and out-of-the-box thinking to figure out how to get the shots that they wanted to make the movies they wanted to make. The conflict of the movie is watching a family try to figure out, problem solve around making a film. I can only help but feel like this movie, overall, is very pro-media. It is in support of the pursuit of spectacle wholeheartedly. It is pro-spectacle. I guess I'm just trying to tell people, to be careful with it. Take precautions. Don't go too far, etc. So how does this relate to COVID shutting down movie theaters and the fear that the film industry might suffer? I don't really see anything in this movie that strikes me as representing COVID or anything like it, or the dying nature of the film industry at that time period, so I struggle to connect the dots to how it's supposed to represent that fear. Except for maybe the side hustle. There are multiple characters that have self-proclaimed side hustles in this story. Like, the primary form of income is so stifling that they seek a side hustle. There's a conversation between the siblings very early on in the movie about their work training horses for films and which thing they're doing is the side hustle. Steven Yeun describes his side hustle of showing obsessed fans of Gordy his secret Gordy museum, right, and how much money he makes from that side hustle, his monument to that traumatic event. I think the kid from Fry's at one point talked about a side hustle of his own, but I might be mistaken. Anyways, I don't know how important that is. It seems like some kind of consistent thing. Maybe there's some angle there. I just struggle to see what part of the narrative and themes reflects the dying film industry, or the fear of the future of the film industry. For a moment, I thought that the film industry is being, beaten about by sensationalist news coverage and bad taste shit. But that wouldn't necessarily make sense because the ending has them succeeding at achieving sensationalist news coverage rather than, fictional artistry. I'm gonna try to stop rambling. Like I said, some parts of the theming I think are kind of clunky, unclear, messy, maybe half-baked. I don't strictly buy into what it's trying to sell me. I feel like anything that I can be absolutely sure that it's saying is something that is painfully obvious. And, okay, don't make an SNL skit making fun of a horrific tragedy. Follow basic safety procedures when you're dealing with dangerous animals. If you pursue spectacle, don't be a fucking lunatic psychopath about it. Don't trust old people to do their jobs well. This is all stuff we didn't need a piece of art to spell out for us. Beyond that, I'm not sure using this movie's metrics for who is rewarded, who is punished, and why, which situations that I would look at in real life and think that this movie is approving of or condemning, I am not confident. Even in a vague sense of just feeling out these themes and ideas, I don't get it. I don't get the vibes of what's being said other than the obvious. It doesn't even feel like a pros and cons situation, like it's trying to balance a neutral perspective of valid arguments that relate to these topics. It just feels like I'm missing something that explains the mentality of the movie that it wants to express. It feels not defined enough to feel like it has a really poignant idea or feeling to present me. Not that I'm saying it's bad, of course, I just feel a little unsatisfied with what I've been able to interpret from the messaging. The movie is good. I know the way I talk about stuff tends to give people the impression that I hate things when I really don't. I gave Elden Ring a 9 out of 10, and people thought that I hated the game because of the way I talk about things. But, yeah, anyways, those are my thoughts. This is where I'm at right now with Nope. Maybe I'll get more insight if I watch Get Out and Us finally. I'll stew on a bit. Probably have more to say. There's some details I'm fuzzy on, so I should probably go and give it a rewatch looking for different elements. On a more consumption-y level, I think that the first half of the movie is a bit slow. I think that the ending sequence is kind of awkward. Like, tons of characters are going in a bunch of different directions, and it's kind of unclear and difficult to keep track of the exact positioning of each of them relative to each other and what level of threat each of them is under. Just feels awkward. I feel like the threat of Jean Jacket is very up in the air. As soon as Jean Jacket transforms into a Pokemon, it seems to lose all speed and aggression, and I no longer ever feared for a character's life even slightly. It just didn't ever do anything after that. After it turned into a Pokemon, it just sat there and kind of floated around some. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to interpret that it was like chasing people down aggressively or almost trying to kill them. I just didn't feel anything from it at that point. There was no tension. There was no anxiety about the situation. It just felt kind of just strange. I also just can't help but feel some level of disappointment. Like, almost all of the cool, bizarre, unique imagery and the weirdness of the plot is pretty much in the trailers. The actual movie is, like I said, very normal, much easier to follow than people have been talking about online. It is not a hard movie to follow and understand. A pretty straightforward monster movie, just with a few characters that make wacky choices out of it, this clearly intentionally hyperbolic obsession with spectacle that many characters have. For me, the strongest scenes in the entire movie are the ones of Gordy's birthday, no question. Strongest tension, strongest direction, imagery, subtlety, mystique about it, everything you could want. There are other bits with some interesting ideas, but they're pretty sparsely placed. There's this much looser interpretation you can make about watching what you're not supposed to watch, be it getting hooked on a tragedy, watching something dangerous. I mean, the obvious conflict is between the desire to stare straight at something and the danger that comes with it, represented by the predators going after whoever looks them in the eye. The guy from Fry's watches through their security cameras without being given permission to do so. He was told not to. Invasion of privacy, etc. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it to get a better idea. of the family dynamic, especially between the siblings. I don't even remember a single word their dad said in the movie before he died. And there's some little moments I just want to go back and restudy, like that scene with Stephen Yeun and his wife prepping for the show ahead of time. I don't really recall exactly what they said, but there might have been something important. Also, this is gonna be weird, but it's weird for me, so fuck you. I feel like the cut of the film that I watched at my theater was different than what I've been seeing floating around online. I do not recall any scenes in the movie of the sitcom other than Gordy's birthday. I watched the whole movie start to finish. I didn't fucking look down at my popcorn for a second. I didn't fucking leave to use the restroom. I watched the whole movie in my theater, and I'd been watching some of the reviews and seeing some footage from the movie from other people, and I'm just like, what the fuck? When did that happen? That literally was not a scene in the version that I saw. It's so weird. I don't know if there was just like some scenes before the movie started that got skipped in my theater, or an after credits scene that I didn't stay for. I think that'd be weird. But yeah, people have also been referencing things that literally did not show in the version of the movie that I watched. People have been saying that the Jupe kid on the sitcom had a signature wink. When did that happen? I didn't see any scenes in the sitcom in the movie other than Gordy's birthday. Am I fucking insane? Did I black out at some point while I was in the theater? What? So yeah, this is a good watch. I liked it. You should watch it, I guess, if you're into that shit, or I don't know, I'm not your father, do whatever you want. Fuck you. That's all for me today. See you later.